Pawpaw Festival season is in full swing, and I've been a busy boy helping to organize the first Pawpaw Festival in Pawpaw, Illinois, sponsored by the Pawpaw Lions Club. That'll be taking place later this month, September 28th, from 11 to 5 p.m. in Veterans Memorial Park in Pawpaw, Illinois. Of course, there's the Ohio Pawpaw Festival later this month, which is the largest and longest-running Pawpaw Festival. I was unable to make it to the second annual Louisville Pawpaw Festival this weekend due to a conflict with the Indiana Pawpaw Festival, but it is ongoing, and you can attend the second day of the festival today, September 8th. Here is the festival schedule. The Indiana Pawpaw Festival holds a contest with an award for both the biggest and best-tasting pawpaw at the festival, and I had to compete. I brought along several entries from my yard, as well as from other folks growing pawpaws in Illinois. The festival is organized by Isaac Busby and the Indiana Nut and Fruit Growers Association, and the competition is steep. We'll have more about the contest winners later in the video. But for now, here's some footage from our visit to the first day of the Indiana Pawpaw Festival.
Look at all the superstars.
Over by the bounce house are multi-award-winning pawpaw growers George and Kylene Hale with fresh, delicious, select cultivar pawpaw fruit for sale at a steal for $5 a pound. All the proceeds from their sales benefit the Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. Here's a picture of George and Kylene enjoying some Pure Joy ice cream bars, also available at the festival. And here's some delicious display-only pawpaw fruits from their orchard. But of course, there's plenty for sale, and it's going fast. Other interesting items at their booth include this display box made of pawpaw wood by a local woodworker, and these charming medallions commemorating the second year of the Indiana Festival, with the proceeds from these medallions being donated. Pure Joy Ice Cream is also at the festival, all the way from Arkansas, with their line of desserts. Let's have a closer look. Here's Matt Faraband.
So the product that started all for us, we're an ice cream company, and so we've got a pawpaw sorbet that we make. It's called Pawpaw and Lime, and that's kind of our OG pawpaw product. And then we've got a pawpaw and vanilla ice cream bar as well. And then last year when we went to the Ohio Pawpaw Festival, we developed the pawpaw caramel. Won first place actually in their condiments and sauces category.
Oh.
And then this year we put the pawpaw caramel in between some Rice Krispie treats, smashed it down. It's delicious.
That sounds great.
And then a friend of ours who does some crocheting did some pawpaw keychains for us.
Super cute.
And my lovely wife illustrated these pawpaw shirts as well.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
That the wind keeps blowing around.
Okay, I'll probably have to get one of those.
Yeah. This was last year's design. It's only slightly different, but
We're very excited to have Pure Joy Ice Cream at the upcoming Pawpaw Festival in Pawpaw, Illinois as well.
so this is the pawpaw vanilla, and this is the pawpaw lime.
Wonderful.
So we've got strawberry lavender, salted cookie crumble. This is our version of a cookies and cream. And then this is kind of our flagship flavor, the Happy Goat cheese and honey. That started the entire business 13 years ago.
So none of these are pawpaw then?
None of them are pawpaw.
Okay.
But those are excellent, kind of tried and true flavors that we've sold in our ice cream shop for years now.
So you are a brick and mortar place then as well, in addition to the mobile?
Yep, we've got a brick and mortar that's open 7 days a week in Siloam Springs, Arkansas.
Very cool.
Where we make all of it. All of this gets made in 500 square feet. We are very efficient. This is probably one of my favorites, rosemary peach. Rosemary ice cream with a peach swirl.
All right, that's interesting.
Fresh mint chip. We've got our version of the classic chocolate dip vanilla. Our vanilla we source directly from some growers in eastern Mexico.
All right.
Once a year we drive down and buy the whole year's supply.
Well, I think we have some people that like some ice cream here, so I guess we'll step aside, but thanks for showing us all that.
Yeah, thank you.
We contract him to make you another one.
Now you gotta have a good stick.
It just about floats your hand.
Well, and you scrape that too, right? You still got a little bit of the bark on there too. It's very nice.
Now it's upside down. This is the bottom of it up here. It's a young tree.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Pawpaw jewelry or
Sure.
and yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I make all of the charms myself, and they're ceramic. And I actually have a pawpaw orchard, and I go out to my orchard in the spring when the fruits are really tiny. And I harvest a few, and then I'll slice them up, carve the seeds out, and take an impression of the real fruit slice. And so all the different shapes that I have represent real pawpaw fruit slices.
Okay, so these are just from the little bitty baby ones before they develop.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly, yep.
That explains why they're so cute. So, were you out last year, or is this your first time to the Merom Festival?
This is my first time.
Very cool. Have you been doing well so far?
Yeah, it's been a good day.
Good. Are you going to be here tomorrow as well?
I'll be here tomorrow.
Okay. Well, come see her. This display from the Indiana Nut and Fruit Growers Association explains the concept of grafting, which applies to both nut trees as well as pawpaw and persimmon trees, and it is used to propagate superior varieties of fruits and nuts. Attendees were also able to crack themselves a fresh pecan, which was a delightful snack. All right. Thank you very much. Speakers from the INFGA were also on hand to help us learn a bit more about nuts and fruits. Let's listen.
So historically, a lot of varieties of fruits, whether it be apples, pears, peaches, whatever, have been grown for hundreds of years. This particular type of fruit has historically been known for its varieties. Johnny Appleseed was very involved in this, but can you figure out how many heirloom varieties of apples there were back in the day? He says 2,500, no?
15,000?
15,000. At one point, there used to be 15,000 heirloom varieties of apples that existed. How many are in the grocery store today?
2, 3.
Anybody know why we don't have so many varieties anymore? There's multiple reasons. Even more.
Big
We
apple.
have 13,000 more, but a lot of them have been lost. Most of them have been lost. You know why they're lost? Ate them. Well, they ate them, but then they kind of fell out of favor, or what are some of the other reasons why we've lost varieties? Blight. Okay, anything else? Hybridization. Okay, anything else? Think about how some of these varieties back in the day, they never had to travel across the U.S. They were just in your backyard, you picked them and you ate them. Many varieties lost favor because A, they couldn't travel long distances, they would be rotten by the time they got there. A lot of the varieties were lost because of prohibition, right? Because we had, because of prohibition, we couldn't make alcohol. Many of these apples were cider apples, so hard cider, alcohol cider. And then another reason why we lose genetic variety and heirloom varieties is because of the world wars. So back in the day, it was usually the men that cared for the trees and took care of the trees, and when they went off to war, the women who were left were the ones who were just scraping by, growing vegetables, just to get by. So many of the trees got lost, and lots of disease, or they fell out of favor, and so that's why we don't have 15,000 varieties of apples anymore. But there are people trying to find many of those back.
And I'll follow up on what Chris was telling you. The interesting thing is, somebody might say, what are these Indiana nut growers doing here? That's how our group started out. We added fruit about 10 years ago to the name. And mainly we added fruit to the name because of Pawpaw and persimmon. The American persimmon is the other one. Mark Hildebrand, one of our legendary members, he's got about not even a whole dozen, but he's got a few persimmons left to sell, the early ripening ones down the way. I'm sure everybody's getting their fill of Pawpaw, right? Probably time to take a time out on Pawpaw a little bit. You know, you can't eat too much of that one. Why the nut growers in Pawpaw and persimmon? And it turns out the nuts that we grow with the nut growing are in the groups of the walnut family, the walnut group, numerous species and hybrids. And then we have the hickory group, and again, numerous species and hybrids. Then we have chestnuts, and there's several species. They're all quite similar. As you eat them, you might not know the difference, but there's different species that you've got to be aware of to grow them, and hybrids. And then the last one would be the oaks. So you've got oaks, walnuts, hickories, chestnuts. And that comprises 50 to 60 species and numerous hybrids in each of the groupings too. Well, the fact is, the nut trees are characterized further, right? They're larger seeded things. They're not like dogwood or redbud or basswood, little tiny seeds, black cherry. No, they're large. They're pretty good size. And the fact is, all of them also take time to mature. If you plant a seed, Chris had told you, why do people graft? Grafting was on the game, right, on board. Where Our Lady of the Winter over there, okay, she's out of here now, giving somebody else a chance. Thank you for getting a couple questions in before. Yeah, you have to graft these things because otherwise you won't get fruit or nuts very soon. With the nut trees, it's worse than the apples even. It can take up to 20 years for a hickory seedling to flower and make nuts. So if you plant hickory seedlings, you have to be aware that you're not going to have a nut crop anytime soon. It's going to take time. There's no reason to not plant a hickory seedling. In fact, I highly encourage that. Worrying about time is something those of us that grow trees, we tend to be patient. And we realize we're harvesting trees today, we should plant new trees for somebody in the future, whoever that person will be, and whenever that future arises. But you can graft them to speed up the production. If you graft the nut trees, you'll start to get seeds in 4 or 5 years. This is typical. There won't be too many, really until 10 years. Well, so as the nut growers started, and we all owe that back to 1909 actually, not 1910. The game board had a one, can you believe 1 year off? 1909 they started. And so when they do that, and they started in the East Coast in New England, New York City, New York State was the start of that group. Well, you can imagine, everybody's grafting and they're working on their nut trees, their walnuts, and their oaks, and chestnuts, and hickories, and they're taking forever to come along. And then, boy, you come out this time of year and you're like, look at that pawpaw in the woods on the fence line, on the edge of the woods. And hey, there's pawpaws. And then likewise, the persimmons start dropping. The earliest are just dropping now, but they'll keep dropping into December. So you're out there in your nut orchards and you're saying, geez, if only I had a bunch of nuts, when will I ever get a bunch of nuts? And then you see the pawpaw and the persimmon around your orchard, and you're like, wow, those are pretty cool. And you're eating them, of course, because they're delicious and they're very healthy. They're both native North American species. There's a few different pawpaws. There's a different chromosomes in the persimmon. So we do talk about a northern 90 chromosome persimmon versus the 60 chromosome southern. And but the bottom line is they make nuts, or they make fruit quickly, and they're out there growing easily. When you're struggling with your walnuts and your hickories to keep the weeds off and get the graft union set and solid. And so the early nut growers adopted those two fruits. Because it also then further, as they started to play with them, they said, wow, I see a really good pawpaw over here. Oh, this one tastes good. Oh, and this persimmon, there's no astringency. My God, this is beautiful. Let's graft that. And you're getting good grafting walnuts and hickories, which are more difficult. And then they find ease of grafting with the pawpaw and ease of grafting with the persimmon. And they're like, whoa, wow. And so the nut growers had kind of taken those two along with them. They kind of became some people refer to them as the widowed orphans But we don't orphan fruit. You know, there's been some of the nut growers that have been a little anti-fruit and anti-pawpaw per se, but the majority of them recognize the virtue that they come on with fruit and easily. So that is a great thing about it. And then furthermore, the pawpaw is a really wonderful native tree. It's a shrub. It doesn't get that tall. You'll see it in more and more ornamental plantings now. There's an idea of food forests and edible landscaping. Pawpaw is perfect for that purpose, and it really works well. The other thing one can do, it's got a high shade tolerance, so you can actually put pawpaws in between apples or walnuts or hickories in your orchards. And in fact, you can do that also with persimmons. In fact, in Trafalgar for our September 22nd fall meeting of IFGA, there will be a tour of an orchard that it has pecans 40 foot by 40 foot, and then in the middle, 20 foot, the man put persimmons, grafted persimmons. You know, and you can have two species going alongside. And again, these fruits are nice to get cropped earlier while you're waiting for your big, bountiful nut to come in.
Here is a look at a few of the entries for the biggest and best tasting pawpaw contest. All 26 entries were weighed in, and here is the judge panel hard at work deciding on the best tasting pawpaw.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in the middle there. It's not ugly, but it's not beautiful. I think that sounds good. Or no, the actual biggest.
The largest pawpaw.
Largest pawpaw goes to Mark Hildebrand.
Oh my God!
17.1 ounces.
That's just like the
In the top five.
Hey, Mark, hold it on your chest. Let me get a shot of you. That's as big as a baby.
Bird baby.
Top five best. The winner getting the plaque. So the fifth best, Sue Stevens.
Whoa. Okay.
All right.
The fourth best, Doug Fell.
Yeah!
The third best, Mark Edmondson.
Well, that's my dad, so I'm here for him.
Yeah.
All right, second best, Kylene Hale.
Woo!
So now the winner of Best Pawpaw is, well, wouldn't you know it, Mark Hildebrand.
What's impressive is the largest was the best.
Okay.
So the largest one actually won the contest.
One pawpaw swept them all.
Yeah.
Sweep the competition.
And Sue Stevens,
Yes.
yours came in fifth, but it had the worst weight. So it had probably the best flavor.
And the worst, the smallest?
Worst weight, but the best flavor.
I
The
told-
only thing I didn't score a 4 or 5 on.
Nice. I can get behind that.
So that's PC3.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
I've stayed with this cultivation group.
I grew that, so I know that.
Here is a look at the entries and the judges' score sheet. Thank you so much to Isaac Busby and the INFGA for putting on this event and keeping these detailed and open records. As a special treat for me, I was able to meet one of my YouTube viewers in real life.
My name is Rick, and I was inspired into and addicted to pawpaws about 2 years ago by my son. And since then, I went to the Ohio Pawpaw Festival in 2023 and had such a good time and loved it so much that I'm addicted. What else to say?
Well, the first ones are free, right?
And through the magic of YouTube, I saw that Austin here had made some videos, and I saw that he had been to the James A. Little gravesite in Cartersburg, Indiana, which is close to where I'm from. And I went there, and I had the opportunity to meet him and his wife, at the second annual Indiana Pawpaw Festival in Merom, and I brought some of my wares from St. Stanislaus Conservation Agents area in North St. Louis County, which is in Florissant, Missouri. And I have 3 pawpaws and I have 9 persimmons.
Nice. Oh, I didn't even notice the mix. Okay.
Yeah, these are all from the seeds were taken in fall of 2023.
Okay. I love your method for the planters here with the milk cartons.
This is my upcycle. I use half-gallon milk cartons. You can buy a $3 punch all at Menards, and I poke holes, 3 holes, poke some in the bottom, about a 5-inch piece of landscape fabric to contain most of the soil, whatever potting mix of your choice. And after stratification, I planted the seeds, and these I planted in March 20th, basically the first day of spring. They didn't even pop up until right around Father's Day, and then somebody calls them a pink knuckle. You've seen them.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You get that little stem, and I couldn't tell which end is popping up and which isn't.
Yeah.
So I just waited, and finally, when they popped up, and then this is about 3 months.
That's looking real good for that age.
I haven't used any fertilizer, just a nice mix, a little bit of compost, and just keep them moist.
The cutaway part is nice too. How did you decide to do that?
I wanted the handle. These fit in the crate, obviously, that's part of it. And then I think this will give it a little bit of shade. Everybody's so worried the pawpaws are sensitive. So if you have it, and I've kept them basically under my deck where they get morning shade. They weren't getting baked too much.
Okay.
So
They seem to like it.
They seem to like it, and if it was, we had such a hot spell, you know, and I kind of keep this side to the sun, and I think that helped keep it from drying out so fast.
Okay. Those are all definite helpful factors, I think, and I think the quality of the plant goes to show that it's a decent method. Yeah. The only thing I'd be worried about is if keeping them in there too much longer because of the taproot, but you still got a fair amount of room in there, I think, for one. So if you're transplanting these soon,
I'm planning a fall transplant at the latest, early spring. So
okay, yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
that's a great way to do it.
And I've had pretty good luck with this.
So this is this your first time out doing these, or did you do these like that before?
This is my experiment.
Okay.
This is what happens when an engineer's mind is not utilized 100%.
Yes, okay.
They start messing around with pawpaws.
Yeah, so pawpaws, you get the pawpaw fever.
This is your brain on pawpaws, apparently.
So
they look great.
So I'm going to use these to establish my orchard, and I think I made enough contacts here. I'm looking forward to going to the nut growers, and they do a grafting seminar in the spring. So I'm hoping to pick up the techniques there. St. Stanislaus is in North St. Louis County in Florissant, Missouri. It's actually named St. Stanislaus. There was a seminary there. It was established by De Smet in 1840s, and there's actually a block house from limestone, and all the materials were quarried on the site. It's a Jesuit-run monastery. It was a monastery, the only full-blown monastery in North America. After they lost, a monastery means it's completely self-sufficient. And when they went unself-sufficient, I'm not sure what year it was, they went back to calling it a seminary. But at one time, they had 1,254 acres. And they had a dairy farm. And during Prohibition, here's a piece of trivia for it. St. Stanislaus, the brothers there, they made all the altar wine for North America.
Holy moly, for North America.
Okay.
So they were happy brothers there.
Yeah.
But this is now through some donations of property, and the county got involved and the state got involved. Now it's a nature preserve, and this is where I'm finding pawpaws.
Nice.
Lots of pawpaws, and they're beautiful. And persimmons.
Now, this is also where you said Lewis and Clark were
Lewis and
stranded,
Clark,
or maybe not stranded, but sustained by pawpaws.
They were sustained. If I don't know which one kept the journal, Lewis or Clark. One of them kept a detailed journal. They probably both did, but one more than the other. And when they were returning from the trek, you know, they left in 1804. They were coming back in September of 1806, and they credited in their journal that the pawpaws staved off starvation for them and their crew. And this is the same location. You can find this location.
That's so cool. So for all you aspiring fruit and nut wizards, get out to Merom, Indiana and Merom Bluff Park for this great second annual Indiana Pawpaw Festival. And of course, come see us Illinois Pawpawers at the Pawpaw Festival in Pawpaw, Illinois this September 28th, sponsored by the Pawpaw, Illinois Lions Club.